Friends, the numbers are in, and they are stunning. Your mind will be absolutely blown here. So you've probably heard by now that the world's first ever spot XRP ETF in the United States has been launched. And it is the number one performing ETF that has been launched this year out of roughly 900 new ETFs in 2025. That's reported by a Bloomberg senior ETF analyst. I'll show you his post a little bit later in the video, but this is real life. I'm telling you, XRP was artificially suppressed for years and years and years via that SEC attack, but now that's over. And wouldn't you know it, when XRP competes on the level playing field, it absolutely whoops my ass. You know what I'm saying here? And look, this is on a down day in crypto. So XRP is down to $2.29, down 4.2% in the last 24 hours. But this is not a sell the news event. This is the whole crypto market is down event. Bitcoin's down to $98,881 as I record this video. It's, in case anyone's curious, 7:14 p.m. Central Time, Thursday, November 13th, 2025. But this is real life. Wait till you hear the numbers, and then you'll start to understand why over a span of especially years and decades, my God, the degree to which this is likely to prop up the price of XRP is just ridiculous. Huge. All right, so here's the post from Canary Capital. This is shared at 7:24 a.m. Central Time. And this is the official account for the company that launched this XRP spot ETF. And they wrote here, introducing XRPC, so that's their ticker symbol for the ETF. The Canary XRP ETF provides exposure to the native token of the XRP ledger, built to reflect network performance across payments and liquidity protocols. Backed by XRP's established utility and cross-border value transfer, designed for efficiency, speed, and scalability within distributed finance. We believe the XRP ledger represents a leading framework for global payments, purpose-built for interoperability and real-world settlement. Folks, that is absolutely correct, and as it turns out, it's not just you and I that think that. It's not just Canary Capital that thinks that. It's pretty much the entire damn planet in the world of crypto, except for toxic Bitcoin maximalists and people who suffer from the affliction known as XRP derangement syndrome. The rest of us, we got it, though. And you just and think about this. XRP is at the level that it's at, price-wise, with way less than 1% of humans on the planet having ever purchased XRP. What do you think happens as this scales? What do you think happens as utility increases, more and more people, businesses, and institutions jump into crypto? Do you think perhaps number go up? I'm asking, what do you think? I think that Nate Garachi is on the right wavelength here. So Nate Garachi's post on your screen here is from him. He's the president of Nova DS Wealth, formerly known as the ETF Store, and look what he posted on August 31st. And he had a number of posts in this vein, and he was absolutely correct. He wrote, you heard it here first. People are severely underestimating investor demand for spot XRP and Solana ETFs, just like they did with spot Bitcoin and ETH ETFs. And folks, that was absolutely true. And so look at these string of posts from a few guys. This is Eric Balkunas. He is the senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg. And so he did all the reporting for, leading up to the launch of the first ever spot Bitcoin ETFs. And so he got pretty famous in crypto for that. This is why he's got 378,000 followers. He does a good job reporting. I think he irrationally hates XRP. That's my guess. I don't know for sure if he does, but based on some of his posts, at a minimum, he's not a fan. But it's fine. It's fine. He's not being trolly or anything. He's not being rude. But look what he's reporting on here. He wrote, and this is, by the way, this is at 9:11 a.m. So hadn't been live for long, okay? He wrote, XRPC at $26 million in volume in first 30 minutes. Wow, gonna blow away my $17 million guess. Has good shot at beating BSOLs, so that would be Solana. That's the ticker symbol for the Solana ETF. BSOLs, of course, the SOL stands for sorry out of luck. Sorry, you little bitches. BSOLs, $57 million, as big as day one of any launch this year. And so even early on, they're like, okay, it looks like there's a good chance XRP is going to beat Solana, which was the number one performer of the year up to this point. But wait, it gets even more. Just hang with me throughout this video. You're going to love this. It gets even more impressive than you think. So yeah, I already told you it did beat Solana. It's number one, but it's way more impressive than you're thinking. And I'll explain why a little bit later in the video, but I want to do this in order. Okay. So here's a post from James Seifert, the guy with fart in his name. He is also at Bloomberg. He does, ETF analysis as well. I think he also does not like XRP, and that's very clear. But hey, you know what? It's fine. He's not too trolly. So here's a post from 12:43 p.m. today. He wrote, okay, 2.5 hours left in trading day, and Canary Capital's XRPC is already over $46 million in day one trading. This is almost guaranteed to be near the top of the list for 2025 launches, and still has a shot at beating BSOL, so again, that's a Solana ETF, for the top spot. And oh yes, it did beat Solana. You love to see it. We were just right. Like, have you figured out that you picked a winner if you picked XRP up? Because that's sure what it seems like to me. Okay. Here's another post, 3:04 p.m. Central Time. Looks like XRPC from Canary has the largest day one trading volume so far for an ETF launch in 2025. Squeaks by Solana's, BSOL's, $57 million. Doing it on a down day like today is pretty impressive. And folks, that's not the only reason it's impressive. It was a notably down day, Bitcoin falling below $100,000 because of course it would on the day that the XRP ETF launches. So there's that, but there's also another reason, which I'm going to get to. Just hang with me here. And so he wrote $58.6 million in counting for the day. And then, so again, that was 3:04 p.m. today. And then there's this from Eric Balkunas. This is at 3:06 p.m. this afternoon. Again, this is all Central Time, my time zone. And Eric Balkunas wrote, congrats to XRPC for $58 million in day one volume, the most of any ETF launched this year out of 900, barely edging out BSOL's $57 million. The two of them are in a league of their own, though, as third place is over $20 million away. And again, he is the senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg. That's as reported by him. Out of 900, XRP is freaking number one, baby. You'd love to see it. Here's the guy with fart in his name again. This is at 5:22 p.m. James Seifert. He said volume likely to settle around here over $59 million for XRPC. Apologies to all of those hoping it'd finish at $58.9 million. Okay, well, Mr. Fartman, apology accepted. But don't let it happen again. Don't let it happen again. $58.9 million. That would have been awesome. That actually would have been absolutely hysterical to me. I would, in fact, it makes me wish that just the XRP ETF from Canary, I wish it was just like a hair less successful than it was. So you could have been down to 58.9 million. I think that would have been worth it. That would have been worth it for the lulz and the memes in the community. I'm just saying. And take a look at this. It gets even more impressive. Take a look at this. Canary Capital. This is from the Canary Capital account, 3:19 p.m. Big day one for the XRPC ETF. Over $58.5 million in trading volume and $245 million in net inflows. So hang with me because I'm going to explain why there is a whole nother reason that this figure is way more impressive. Because yeah, they say, XRP squeaked out just a little bit above the Solana, so not that much more impressive. Actually, it's wildly more impressive. Hang with me, I'm going to explain that. But first I want to explain these numbers that are on your screen because I learned something new today. I don't pretend to know everything about how ETFs work, but I read this and I was kind of confused. I was like, wait a minute, 58.5 million in trading volume. How is that lower than net inflows? That didn't make sense to me. And so, yeah, it might sound completely backwards to hear that the XRP ETF saw $58 million in trading volume roughly, but $245 million in net inflows. And so I'm assuming most people probably, if you're not in the ETF world, you probably would have assumed the same thing as I did, assuming that, trading volume has to be bigger than net inflows since, funds, after they're in the system, they can trade a bunch of times. So why wouldn't the trading volume be higher than net inflows? That's the way my brain was working anyway. Please tell me in the comment section. I'm not the only one that would think that, but that's actually, as it turns out, and I had to research this to figure it out. I was like, that doesn't add up. Or did they fat finger this? No, they did not. That's actually not how ETFs work at all, as it turns out. And this is a perfect example of why, the numbers can look a little upside down if you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, as I did not. But trading volume is it's just the amount of ETF shares changing hands on a public exchange between regular buyers and sellers. So that's retail, it's traders, it's algos, the algorithms, meaning bots, basically, and also anyone else that's swapping shares back and forth. Net inflows, on the other hand, happen completely outside of that system, and that's where you get the disparity. It's outside of that system. Inflows come from authorized participants, big institutions, for example, creating brand new ETF shares directly with the issuer. Those creations don't touch the public exchange, so they never show up as trading volume. That's why. So when you see lower trading volume but much higher inflows, it simply means that institutions created a huge batch of new XRP ETF shares, but the retail market hasn't really started trading them heavily yet. And that's extremely common on day one of a new ETF. Institutions seeded with basically a pile of capital. That's what happened today, obviously, which shows up as inflows. But there hasn't been enough time for secondary market trading to ramp up. That's the difference, which of course keeps the volume number lower than inflows. So the numbers look backwards only because inflows and trading volume are totally separate systems. That's the answer. And I just wanted to explain that because I was a little bit surprised by that. Actually, I did not expect that. But, one measures new money entering the ETF ecosystem in particular ways. So, it is what it is. And then once in there, of course, it sloshes around, buyers and sellers do what they do. But yeah, it seems a little bit outsized, and that's the rationale for all of this. Here's a post from former Fox Business journalist Eleanor Terrett. She wrote, "Wowza, XRPC surpassed a BSOL, sorry, I'm luck, to become the biggest ETF launch of the year. To be honest, though, with the XRP army behind it, is anyone really surprised?" I'd say no. I'm certainly not surprised. I knew you could do it, XRP. Okay. So this post, and this is the first guy I saw bring this up. It's got an XRP Breezy, so I want to give a shout out and credit here. And a lot of people ended up making this point. He's just the first guy that I saw make this point. And it's another reason that these numbers that have been touting in this video are way more impressive than what you're already thinking. Just take a look at this. He wrote, "What's craziest about this is if XRP does go on," and by the way, this is at 9:55 a.m., so it's before we knew that XRP would be number one, so frame of reference. And he said, "What's craziest about this is if XRP does go on to take out the Solana day one record, it did it with an issuer in Canary that is 30 times smaller than Bitwise by assets under management. Incredible." Now, folks, that is freaking staggering. I didn't think about that until I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Canary's like a newer firm, and they seem great. I don't know a ton about them, but they seem great. I've never done anything with them. But think about that. They're new, they're smaller. They're new and they're smaller. First mover for XRP ETF. Love to see it. They're getting aggressive about it. That's cool, but they're tiny. Way smaller than Bitwise. Bitwise has thousands and thousands and thousands of clients, including, like wealth management teams, actual, it's like hedge funds, so on and so forth, that have tons of their retail customers. They're huge comparatively. So think about that. They have a larger base of individuals, businesses, institutions that could purchase that Solana ETF, way bigger than Canary has a pool. I don't know how many customers Canary has, but they're obviously smaller, and you can see it by assets under management. So the fact that Canary still beat on a down day the Solana Bitwise launch, and they're a smaller firm, that is freaking mind-blowing. That is insane. Think about that. It's absolutely wild. So now imagine this keeps playing out, because XRP is clearly a chosen winner in the crypto space. It's an early winner in crypto. Okay, now imagine this 3 months out, 6 months out, a year out, 2 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out. There's so much more money flowing in XRP than people have an earthly understanding of. And all of this, and again, it matters if you're an XRP holder, because every single XRP ETF, and this is just the first one, they're all backed by actual XRP. And by the way, XRP is purchased at the end of each day to back the ETF flows. So it's not done in real time. But they batch it each day. So it's not like you have to wait that long. So with $245 million in net inflows, that means about 106 million XRP would have to be purchased after the day concluded in order to back the spot XRP ETF purchases. And that's based on a price of $2.30. So I don't know exactly what it's going to come out to, but just doing some quick back of the napkin math, that's roughly what it comes out to. So you can figure that. And that's from one freaking day. That is one day. And so you can see in the last 24 hours, XRP volume has been globally 6 billion. Okay, well, on day one from one tiny XRP ETF issuer, It was 245 million. 245 million out of about six billion. Think about that. That is insane. Now wait until imagine there's like a dozen or two XRP ETFs out there. In the United States, the largest capital market on the entire freaking planet. So much money is going to flow into XRP. It's going to be absolutely freaking insane. You'll love to see it. So I don't know about you guys, but I was more shocked than I thought. Like I assumed XRP would do well. It's not like I hear the news that XRP is number one and I'm surprised. That's not the case. But I'm saying when you factor in everything else, it's mind blowing. When you factor in it's a down day, and Canary's tiny compared to Bitwise. It's because it's an apple to oranges comparison, and XRP still beat Solana. It beat its little bitch ass. Like you love to see it. Nothing against Solana. I happen to not own it, but nothing against it. But it's just wild. This is total vindication for anyone that's an XRP, obviously. We win, folks. We absolutely win. XRP number one out of roughly 900 ETFs launched in 2025, as reported by a Bloomberg senior ETF analyst. The best is yet ahead, folks. It is yet ahead. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea.